Hello amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new exciting Doctor Who topic video for today. And of course it is the next installment of my Doctor Who weekly series of my of my 60 favourite Doctor Who stories. So this is my opinion alone, but if you haven't checked out basically my episode part 1 basically from 60 to 50 and see what episodes are in that category, then I think you would quite enjoy it. So to do this series, I've gone through a lot of rewatches, and basically neck and neck I had to rewatch a lot of Modern Who so I can try and pick out my favourite episodes from the modern era, because I tend to always go back and rewatch Classic Who more during the year than I do for the modern era. I don't really go back and rewatch Modern Who that often. Normally, if I'm going to rewatch a Modern Who season, it's probably going to be season 27, aka Series 1, season 30, aka Series 4, season 31, aka Series 5, and of course, basically, season 36, aka Series 10. I don't really tend to rewatch a lot of episodes of Doctor Who from the modern era, because Modern Who is the weaker side of Doctor Who to me, where definitely the strongest case with Doctor Who is Classic Who, with all 26 seasons being absolutely bounters. And I absolutely love Classic Who more than the modern era. But Modern Who has really surprised me when I was literally doing the rewatches and basically writing out this list. So are you sitting comfortably? Good. So let's dive into 49th place. So in 49th place, we have The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. So this is episode 4 and 5 of Series 5, aka Season 31. I absolutely love this great two-parter. Now, it really gives the 11th Doctor such a great darker edge. Now, I always like it when stories give Doctors such a darker edge. Now, I always like The Curse of Fenric because you see more of the Chessmaster version of the Doctor in McCoy's Doctor. I really like it when you see darker elements of the Doctor. So this is Matt Smith's very first moments diving into darker edges of his Doctor, I think. And I actually do quite enjoy it, apart from The Beast Below. And this was actually Matt Smith's very first episode to film as the 11th Doctor, by his very first story, and it's a two-part story. I absolutely love it. The Weeping Angels are absolutely perfect in this story. This is one of the reasons why I love The Weeping Angels. Now, I do like him in Blink, but Blink is not in this list. I'm sorry for all of you go, how can I not include Blink? Well, Blink is definitely a good Weeping Angel. It's not my favourite. There are two Weeping Angel stories where they are my favourite, and one of them is actually in 60 to 50. So basically, this is the only time you're going to see a Weeping Angel episode come up in this list again. And Flesh and Stone and, of course, The Time of Angels is just a perfect Weeping Angel episode. Now, the Weeping Angels are going around snapping over people's voice boxes, and, of course, using them to communicate with people that look at Private Bob. And, of course, we get Angel Bob when he's there talking to the Doctor. I really love that moment with the Doctor pointing the gun. Is there's one thing, if you know about me, you're smart. There's one thing you never, ever put in a trap. Me. I really love that cliffhanger and the way the Doctor shoots the light and he literally tells them all to jump. I really love that cliffhanger, and it's really, really great and epic, and I just absolutely flipping love it. It is brilliant, and for an episode from 2010 that's basically 14 years old this year, it still holds up to basically what it did back in 2010 for me. I absolutely love it. In 48th place, we have The Daleks, aka the second story of Doctor Who ever. And of course, it's from season 1 with William Hartnell's Doctor, not season 1 with Ncuti Gatwa, which is why I do call that one season 40. The Daleks, it is a great 7-part episode. Now, it does drag a little bit. It really does drag a little bit, which is why this is the first time in this list you're going to hear a Classic Who story. But there are now two versions of the story for you to enjoy. You got basically the original 7-part, or Doctor Who The Daleks in colour, which is available on DVD and, of course, Blu-ray. And I've got the Steelbook and I've got the standard DVD to it. I absolutely love The Daleks. It doesn't matter what version I watch. I don't care if it's the original 7-part version, even though it does drag a little bit. It is a great Dalek episode. Now, admittedly, this is the very first time we go to Skaro. The Doctor, Ian and Barbara, and of course Susan are just great in the roles. I really like Susan in the story because you see more of Susan being that terrified teenager where she's running through the jungle trying to get to the TARDIS for the drugs, the anti-sickness drugs or the anti-radiation drugs or whatever they're called. I do like this episode. Now, the Daleks are absolutely great in this episode because this is the first time we see them, and they're not like some of the Pepper Potts we come across in Modern Who. They're not like their Modern Who counterparts. This is where the Daleks are more manipulative. They are basically keeping the TARDIS team as prisoners so they can try and use them to kill the Movellans. Not the Movellans, sorry, the Vowels. I just absolutely love this story. It's just brilliant. It's just fantastic. And I really love the Daleks. It's just a cracking story. It really is. Number 27, we jump back into the 11th Doctor era with the Snowman. Now, this is honestly my favourite Christmas episode for the 11th Doctor. I absolutely love this episode. Flat out nailed to Now, Jenna Coleman is brilliant as the Victorian slider Clara, so basically when she jumped into the Doctor's time stream and scattered. And of course, the Great Intelligence make its very first return since 1968 in this story. I really love the Great Intelligence, and of course we have Richard E. Grant. Now, Richard E. Grant played the alternative version of the Schalke Doctor, which is now somehow canon. So to actually have Richard E. Grant playing a different character, as well as playing the Doctor in the Whoniverse, is brilliant. I always like it when you have different actors were playing different roles as well as the Doctor. William Hartnell did it, Patrick Troughton did it, Tom Baker did it, Colin Baker did it, Peter Capaldi did it, and now, thanks to Russell T Davies, Richard E. Grant's done it. And I actually do quite enjoy Richard E. Grant in this one because he gives you that kind of villainous ways. I said I'd feed you. I didn't say who to, when the snowmen literally come up and start eating the workers. I flat out love this episode. It's just brilliant and fantastic. The Doctor basically being in his darker element because of losing Amy and Rory, and basically you got a whole new TARDIS console room for this episode where he literally introduces Clara to it. That's no more than a box annual governance. Oh, spoken like a true man, like that. And he goes, all you do is just sulk. I'm not sulking. And when he literally goes, it's called the TARDIS. It stands for time-related dimension in space, and it's mine. Go on, say it. Most people do. I love the way how Clara runs out the TARDIS, runs around it, and she goes, it's smaller than the outside. Okay. That is a first. Is there a kitchen? Not the first. Sorry, I always like making souffles. What? I really love that bit. That bit really just makes me laugh. And I love that bit when literally got Clara on her deathbed. And of course, she tells the Doctor to run you, clever boy, and remember. And of course, he looks up, straightens his bow tie, and goes and deals with the Great Intelligence. I just absolutely love this episode. It's always good to have a companion to push the Doctor to that length where basically Clara does it. Where basically, it kind of like she slaps him out of his mood, out of the way he's been moaning, mourning, after he's been mourning the loss of Amy and Rory, and she literally just slaps him to give that Doctor what he needed. And of course, you just get him literally looking up, straight bow tie, deal with the Great Intelligence. I absolutely love it. So yeah, it is a great episode. Number 46, we have The Power of the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker episode. Now, this story, people say, oh, it's not really a Whittaker episode, is it? Because you got a bunch of cameos of other Doctors like David Bradley, Peter Davison, Colin Baker for the first time, Sylvester McCoy for the very first time, and of course, the return of Paul McGann. Now, when I say this is the first time, basically, in Modern Who, we have Colin Baker and, of course, Sylvester McCoy return. Now, you're probably going, but David Bradley made a return in this episode. Yes, David Bradley does play the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time, and of course he makes his basically return in the story. But basically, prior to The Power of the Doctor, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy had not made a return since basically the Doctor's regenerated. Now, Colin Baker has not returned to the role of the Doctor in Celestial Count Big Finish, but on screen, we haven't seen him return to the role since 1986 in The Trial of a Time Lord, where basically he goes into TARDIS and says, carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice. And for McCoy, this is the first time we've seen McCoy's return since the TV movie way back in 1996, where he regenerated into Paul McGann. Now, Paul McGann made his return as the 8th Doctor in Night of the Doctor, and of course, he comes back in this episode as a majority of himself, a method phaser. I really do love this episode. Now, of course, we do have the return of Ace and Tegan in this story as well. Plus, we do say goodbye to Dan in this story as well. So really, it's mainly like the Doctor and Yaz trying to work out what's going on. You got Unit, you got Cybermen, you got the Master, the Cybermasters. Basically, it's Time Lords that have been converted into Cybermen. You got them back in this one. You got Daleks. You just got Hal galore for it, and you got references. You got callbacks to Adric. You got callbacks to basically when Tegan first encountered the Cybermen. You got basically Ace saying to Graham, "You want to see how I dealt with the Daleks in 1963? 1963? How old are you? Excuse me, a gentleman should never ask that." And of course, Ace goes and beats up a Dalek with a baseball bat again for the second time in the Whoniverse. I absolutely love that, and it's absolutely brilliant and a fantastic story. Plus, I do like the fact we go and see Jodie Whittaker to regenerate on the rooftop top and the cliff top, sorry. And as she's there regenerating, saying, "Tag, you're it." It's not like she's crying, where some modern doctors, they all like overreact and cry, and that's basically just looking like David Tennant. "I don't want to go," you know, like that. Where the 13th Doctor, she literally goes, "Tag, you're it. I'm moving on." Regeneration, and boom comes the 14th Doctor. Is of course it is played by David Tennant once again. So David Tennant has two faces of the Doctor in his time, which is something I do find a little bit weird. Still trying to say it down to this point, but I do like Power of the Doctor. It's such a great story. Sacha Dhawan gives us such a great performance as the Doctor. I really like the fact how the Master basically calls that connection back to basically the War Games, where the Time Lords basically made the Doctor change his appearance and go into exile. So it kind of does that, but this time it has the Master forcing the Doctor to regenerate into him. And of course, the Master's consciousness leaves the Master's body. So technically, the Master does technically die while his consciousness runs around in the Doctor's body until it's all reverted back thanks to the help of Vinda, Yaz, and a holographic version of the fugitive Doctor. I absolutely love it. It is just such a great episode and absolutely perfect. It is a good one. Then, of course, in 45th place, we have the Tomb of the Cybermen. Now, I absolutely love Tomb of the Cybermen. Some people think it's a racist story, but I absolutely love it for what it is. It comes from the 5th season of Doctor Who, starring Patrick Troughton as the 2nd Doctor. And this is honestly a great story. Some people say, "Oh, why isn't it, if it's so great, why it's not in your top 20? It's because there are other stories in the top 20 that really knock this one down out of the park. I really love this story. Tomb of the Cybermen, it is such a great story. It's the introduction to the Cybernats. It is an introduction to the Cyber Controller. A Cyber Controller for the first time. So people say, "Oh, the Cyber Controller was introduced way back in basically 2006. Wrong. A Cyber Controller was introduced back in 1967 in this story. And my God, it's just such a great story. And it's got such iconic scenes where the Cybermen are literally coming out of the ice tombs. And you've got that music going, do, 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 do. I really love that. And I really love this story. It's just brilliant. And Patrick Troughton gives such a great performance. "Can we leave, Doctor?" "No, we can't leave. Not ever since I heard the word, that name." "What name?" "Cybermen." I really love it. And of course, I just love how the 2nd Doctor really goes and interferes basically sealing the Cybermen back into the ice tombs. It's really great. 44th place, and of course we have an episode that basically aired early this year. It is The Devil's Cord. So some people don't like this episode because it had that big massive beat up with the Beatles being into it, but they only didn't have a little bit to play. But I really like Ncuti Gatwa, I really like Millie Gibson, I really like Jinx Monsoon. They are the 3 best actors to play in this episode. The Doctor is Ncuti Gatwa, of course. Millie Gibson plays Ruby Sunday, and of course Jinx Monsoon plays Maestro. Maestro is such an iconic villain. I've only seen one person so far to cosplay Maestro, and I really like him for it. Unfortunately, I haven't met them in person. I have seen pictures on different Doctor Who groups and of course a cosplaying group, and I absolutely have to say he looks absolutely perfect cosplaying Jinx Monsoon's character Maestro. I really like it. I really do like the story. It's absolutely brilliant. It's just I can't put a nail to it. I can't find a fault with it. Now some people say, "Oh, but there's a fault with it." To me there isn't. I really like the fact Maestro is the child of the Toymaker. Very great genius idea from RTD. I really think it's a great idea to have the Toymaker to have a child. And of course, the Toymaker is the game of toys and games. Of course, his child's going to become basically the majority of music itself. And of course, the Doctor's got to find that perfect key note. Yeah, okay, 2 of the members of the Beatles do find it to trap Jinx Monsoon back into the actual piano and back where she came from. But I absolutely love the episode. So yeah, it is a quite good episode, and it's my 2nd favourite story against the 15th Doctor, because I just love the 15th Doctor's first season, and of course it is season 40, so yeah, I do like this story. Then of course in 43rd place we have the Pandorica Opens and the Big Bang, the finale to season 31, aka series 5. I absolutely love this episode. It's just a great iconic episode with the whole Pandorica opening. I love the fact we have an an ally of the Doctor's enemies. I love the fact we have callbacks to alien species we haven't heard or seen since the classic era, like Draconians or Tellarites and all that. And of course, the Doctor says, Santarans, who stopped their handbags? I really love that. It's a little bit of a joke, but I do like them. And I love the fact how basically you got the whole plot with the Pandorica being a trap for the Doctor. And of course, basically the Doctor finding a way out of it. And of course, he gets shot by a Dalek and resets the entire universe and has to be numbered by Amy on her wedding day. I just absolutely love this episode. It's just great. It really is a great episode. And it's just brilliant, honestly. Flat out brilliant. And I love it. So yeah, it's in 43rd place. In 42nd place, we have Dalek. Dalek is from season 27, aka series 1. And it shows you how much menacing one Dalek can be. So where resolution is basically like that for the Daleks with Jodie Whittaker, this is where I think this is where the Dalek shows off how much powerful one Dalek can be, by basically being stuck in the vault by Henry Van Staten, sending it as a distress call for the TARDIS to pick it up. I really love the callback to the Time War for the first time, where the Doctor's there talking to it. He goes, "What the hell are you here for?" "I am waiting for orders. I am a soldier. I was bred to receive orders." But you're not going to get any. Not ever. "I demand orders." "They're never going to come. Your race is dead. You're all dead. All of you. The entire Dalek race flat out in 1 second. You lie. I watched it happen. I made it happen. You destroyed us." I really love the consequence of that when the Doctor goes, and of course, when the Doctor says that and he goes, "I had no choice." "And what of the Time Lords?" "They're dead. They're burnt with you. The end of the last great Time War. Everyone lost." I really love that tragedy of the Ninth Doctor. And of course, when you got him literally being tortured by Henry Van Staten because of the Doctor saying, "The Dalek is not the only alien on Earth, Doctor. The Doctor, there's you. The only one of your kind in existence." And of course, boom, he's being tortured by Henry Van Staten. And basically, the Dalek escapes. The Doctor literally tells Van Staten to let him go and help defeat the Dalek. "I don't want to scratch on its body." You know, and of course, he does get his own comments. And I do like the story. It really is great. In 41st place, we have my favourite Shoot It Getaway episode at this current point in time, which is The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, the finale to season 1, aka season 14. Now, the reason this is actually my favourite episode of Shoot It Getaway is because it's got the return of Sutekh. Sutekh was basically in a fantastic story back in the 1970s in my favourite season of Doctor Who, and that's of course season 13. So the fact we have the return of Sutekh in this episode is just pure genius. I love it. I love the fact we have the return of Sutekh. I don't like the fact how RTD says that Sutech's been basically clinging onto the ties all this time, when basically the Doctors did say, "I'm sending you forwards in time to your own personal death." So basically have Sutekh clinging onto the ties kind of makes no sense. It has been retcons, but to actually have the actor Gabriel Wolf back as the voice of Sutekh is brilliant. Just brilliant. And I absolutely RTD for it. I wasn't really expecting the return of Sutekh, but I'm glad we got it. I do hope Sutekh does not return, because I do not like the way how basically he's been tied up to the ties and basically ridden through the time vortex, and his body's kind of been burnt to death. So I really think Sutekh is now truly dead. But I did quite enjoy his return, and Gabriel Wolf is absolutely perfect as the voice of Sutekh. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, number 40, we have a classic Doctor Who story, Day of the Daleks, the very first time Doctor Who dived into a paradox story-type loop. And, of course, it is the Daleks' return after a 5-year rest. And Jon Pertwee is the third Doctor. I absolutely love the story. It's just brilliant. I love the fact, the concepts of the time paradox, which we do learn at the end of part 4. I really love the Ogrons. I would love to see the return of the Ogrons. Hopefully we can have them return with the Daleks and have a Dalek Ogron story once again. Have them become slaves to Daleks like they were back in this story. I would love it. I really would. But I really do like the Ogrons. The fact that this is the first time the Doctor picks up a gun to shoot an Ogron in cold blood. Well, technically it's not cold blood, but thanks to the special edition where it is pointed out, where basically the Doctor's there shooting it, an Ogron, where basically the Doctor just points a gun at the Ogron and shoots it in the edited, on the basic original version. So yeah, I do love Day of the Daleks. So that is basically my episode list for basically 49 to 40. What are your favourite episodes out of this list? Join me next week where I talk about what's in 39th place to 30th place in my 60 favourite episodes of Doctor Who, or my 60 favourite stories of Doctor Who. Thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share, and join me for more awesome Doctor Who content.